Hello and welcome to BharatShakti.in. I'm Brigadier Chatterjee, editor BharatShakti.in. Today we are going to be talking about use of helicopters in the Bangladesh operation. The Bangladesh war was a stupendous victory for the Indian Armed Forces and Mukti Bahini jointly. The operations displayed flexibility, it displayed speed, it displayed alacrity, it displayed commanders using every opportunity to speed up their operations. But most of all, I think what it displayed was jointness. Jointness not just between the Indian Army, Indian Navy, and the Indian Air Force, but of all these three, with also the Mukti Bahini. Helicopters were used in a big way to speed up operations. Dhaka fell in a matter of 16 days. Today we're going to be talking about those operations, and I have with me squadron leader Pushp Vaid, who flew a helicopter during the operations, ferried troops, loads across the swamps, across the rivers to speed up the operations of Gen Sagat Singh's corps. Squadron leader Vaid is a highly experienced helicopter pilot. He moved to Scotland after the war and continued to fly helicopters for the British Airways. Welcome to BharatShakti.in, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
We'll start off with my first question, if you are okay with it. The first thing that I really want to ask you, sir, is about the 110 helicopters unit of which you were a part of it. How did you train, prepare for the 71 operations? Where were you based? Any additional resources that were made available to 110?
110 helicopter unit is still based in Kumbhigram. They're still over there. And I went there in 1969, end of 1969, beginning of 70. And I went as a flight commander, that is a 2IC of the helicopter unit. And we had a lot of young pilots posted to us who had just come from training. And some of them were just 18 or 19-year-old. Majority of them were about 23, 24. And our aim was and we had decided to train them quickly so that they become captains. And we did a lot of intensive flying. Myself and my CO and another Jairaman, his name was Flight Lieutenant Jairam, three of us were very, very busy training them. And around September 71, the Eastern Air Command had told us that do a lot more night training, which is what we started doing. And we got everybody ready by the time December came. And also we were very fortunate. The Indian Air Force were able to supply us all the spares that we needed to get all the 10 helicopters serviceable. So we were all, by December, but before December came, we were all 10 helicopters ready, and all the pilots were fully trained and fully qualified for the operation.
Right. At the beginning of the operations when it started, what was General Sagat Singh's broad plan as far as the utilization of helicopters for speeding up operations is concerned? Or was it more a case of normal activities that helicopters will take on, like reconnaissance, like casualty evacuation and all that? And when the opportunity came, he really switched the entire force into this kind of a battle of, ferrying them across obstacles, etc.
Yeah, the original plan was just to help the army with whatever army wanted us to do. Main job was to pick up casualties, supply arms, ammunition, food to wherever the troops were fighting, and do the reconnaissance with the generals or brigadier, whoever wanted to go anywhere. So that's what we were doing on 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th of December.
Okay.
And after that, general decided that he's going to take over Silhet, and that operation started on the 7th of December.
Right. I think that is something we'll be very interested in. Tell us about the Heliborne operation for Silhet. If you can give us some details about the operations. Also, I mean, the incident rather than the operation where you got your V Chakra.
Yeah. You see, Four Corps original plan for Four Corps was that they're supposed to take over 3 or 4 cities. And that was the main aim given to Sagat Singh, that he has to take over 3 or 4 cities. So the first city he wanted to take over was Silhet. So he told us to get to Kalashar, which is about 100 kilometers from Agartala. Kalashar is an old Second World War airstrip. So we moved there, and Kilo Flight was already there. Kilo Flight was the flight which the Indian Air Force had made to train the Bangladeshi pilots who had deserted the Pakistan Air Force and come to India. And so we trained them on helicopters and on Dakotas and on Otters. And they were already in Kalasha. So when the helicopters moved there, it became like a chock-a-block. We were full. The whole runway was full. And we had 5 of our helicopters and 3 helicopters from 1 of 5. They are from Chabua. They came and joined us as well. So 8 helicopters we had there.
Right. When did Gen Sagat Singh actually decide to cross the Meghna River? Meghna was a huge obstacle.
No, Meghna was after the Silhet operation. Once the Silhet operation was so successful, he said, let's go to Dhaka now. So that was the next plan. So first operation was Silhet. And he was so impressed with the way we worked at Silhet that he said, this is so easy, to move the troops. I can go to Dhaka now. That was his plan.
Okay. So you'd like to talk any more about Silhet operations, or shall we go to the Meghna crossing now?
No, Silhet is, this is where I got my Veer Chakra as well, so I can tell you about, I'll tell you about the Silhet operation. So on the 7th of December, we got to Kalasha, and from Kalasha, the general and the Brigadier Quinn, I think his name was, 4-5 Gurkhas, they came with us and they showed us where they wanted us to take off from and where they wanted us to land just outside Silhet, so that we are away from the enemy concentrations. And so once we had seen all the both the helipads, we started preparing. We told Group Captain Chandan Singh, who was in charge of the Air Force, we need fuel and we need some more of our technicians to come. So he arranged all that. He arranged all the fuel for us. And so at about midday, we went to Kalora, which is the helipad we had picked, where the 4-5 Gurkhas are going to come and we're going to pick them up and take them to Silhet. They started arriving about 2:45 in the afternoon. I had eight helicopters. I briefed everybody that as soon as the passengers come, we load them up and we get airborne. And there was going to be a gap of 3 or 4 minutes between each helicopter, so that there's not more than one helicopter at Silhet, because we didn't want to give a bigger target to the enemy. So I was number 1, and then number 2, number 3. So I took off at about 14:45, and 20 minutes flying time to Silhet. So I went there, dropped my load. Second helicopter was behind me, 3-4 minutes behind, and third and fourth. Then I came running back. We had enough fuel to do 3 trips. So I came running back, picked up my next load, and joined this whole circle. So we were just going like in a circle. Second time when we went, the Pakistan army had started surrounding the field, and they were firing at us like hell. We could see tracer bullets coming from all directions. So when we picked up the third load, and I went back for the third load, it was getting a little bit dusk as well, and it was getting a little bit dark as well. So this time we could see even more bullets, because more of Pakistan army had started surrounding the field. And Group Captain Chandan Singh and Flight Lieutenant Singla was in a little alouette. They were 5,000 or 6,000 feet, and they were watching us. And they were armed. And we had dropped one flying officer, Sharma his name was, and he was giving directions to them where the firing was coming from. So they were firing with their alouette as well at the firing locations. And the following day, of course, the Nats and the Hunters came also, and they thrashed the hell out of the Pakistani army. So in the meantime, we kept flying, and we finished 3 trips each, and we came back, and we had only dropped 250 people. And then we shut down, and we refueled, and we got ready to start flying again. And then Group Captain said, no, we can't go at night, because we'll be like sitting ducks, and anybody can shoot you down, And the brigadier was very upset, because he didn't want the operation to stop, because with 250 people among 5,000 plus Pakistani soldiers was no equation. There was no chance of those poor 250 people to survive the 5,000. Yeah. Luckily for us, Pakistan army didn't know how many people we had dropped. So they didn't come into the field, and our army was keeping them at bay by firing at them and, making plenty noise there. So they didn't come any closer to where we had been dropping them. So in the then unfortunately, the army had even not sent the radios. The HF radios had not gone with the first load of people, because they thought we'll just keep going, and whatever comes in front, we'll just keep moving it. So eventually, Brigadier and Group Captain decided they'd send 1 helicopter and see what happens. So I volunteered to go myself, and I picked up one of the other pilots. I asked for volunteers to come with me. Everybody put their hand up. So I picked up Flying Officer Kant Reddy, and midnight we got airborne. Now, the daytime we could see the helipad. Nighttime we didn't know how we were going to find the helipad because nighttime everything is different. We knew there was a railway station. We knew there were bridges, but of course at night you can't make out anything. You know. So luckily, as I said, the flying officer Sharma had gone along with the first rotation. So when he heard the helicopter, he lit the fire for us. So as soon as he lit the fire for us, and he called me up and he says, everything is quiet, you can come straight in. So I went straight for the fire, and my briefing to the troops had taken was, as soon as I land, I want everybody out and I'll be airborne in 30 seconds, which is exactly what we did. We had two pilots flying and one flight engineer. His job was to handle the passengers. So as soon as we landed, he made sure everybody was out, and we got within about a minute we got airborne. And the amount of bullets we saw coming towards us was amazing, absolutely amazing. Anyway, we got airborne, and after about 2-3 minutes, I told my flight engineer, go and have a look how many bullet holes we got. And he went around with his light and torch and everything. And 2 minutes later, he came back, sir, you won't believe we don't have a single bullet hole. I was flabbergasted. I was completely flabbergasted. And I realized that the Pakistan army could not see us. They could only hear us. So they were just firing in the air, hoping they'll hit us. So we came back, and in the meantime, I told my base, these people don't know how to fire. Let's all get ready and go. So I came back, picked up the next load, went running back again, dropped the next load, came back again, picked up the third load, went running back again. I was still alone because the other helicopters are getting ready. So third time I went and dropped. When I got airborne this time, my fuel gauge was showing 0. And I said, engine is running, rotors are running. So obviously we got fuel. Only the gauge maybe is not working. So anyway, we were praying to whoever was up there, take us back home. And we got back home. And the engineers opened the panel and they saw one bullet had come through, hit the cable to the fuel gauge. So they removed the cable, put a new cable in, put the fuel in for me. And I joined the rest of the troops. And the whole night we kept flying. And then the whole day on the 8th, we kept flying. And the 9th morning, about 10 o'clock, we had finished everything. The entire 450 had been dropped at Silhet. And within 6 or 7 days, 5,000 plus soldiers of Pakistan Army surrendered to our roughly 1,000 4-5 Gurkhas and the Mukti Bahini people. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. And for that, group captain had sent my name off because I was like a guinea pig, you know. They wanted to see if I'll survive or not. Group Captain Chanan Singh was 100% sure I was not going to come back. And I said, sir, let's try. I mean, unless we try, we don't know, you know. So that's why he sent my name off for the Veer Chakra.
Well, I guess nobody deserved it more than you under those circumstances that you yourself narrated. Well, I guess the next is the Meghna crossing where you had a major operation. And there was some reconnaissance carried out by Gen Sagat Singh when you were taking flight.
So on the 9th... on the 9th of December, we were all told to move to Agartala. Everybody moved to Agartala. And from Agartala, one Albert came with General Sagat Singh. One brigadier was there, and my CO was there, and another lieutenant colonel was there. So 6 of us, 2 pilots and 4 passengers. So he showed us where he wanted us to go that evening, Raipura. Raipura was the place just across the river Meghna. Meghna is 5 to 10 to 15 kilometers wide at places, you know, and marshy area. Very, very difficult for army to move there at all, you know, unless you have special boats and stuff like that. So once he had seen, Sagat Singh saw what we had done in day and a half at Silhet, he was so impressed that we could move so many people so quickly. He said, let's go to Dhaka. And first place he wanted to take over was Raipur. So we went in the Alvet. He showed us the helipad where he wanted us to land. On the way back, he said, we'll go over that one of the bridges which the Pakistan Army had blown up, Asuganj, near Asuganj. And he showed us a place where he was looking at his troops and everything. And then suddenly we started hearing this noise, foot. And there were bullets going right through our helicopter. And we were very, very fortunate. One of the pilots got injured. The co-pilot took over and he climbed away very quickly. And we came back and we landed and we shut down. And later on we discovered there were 38 bullet holes in that helicopter. And only one person was injured. Incredible. 6 of us sitting so close to each other. And none of us were injured. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely very, very incredible.
I would say purely luck. Pure luck.
Pure luck. Yeah. Absolutely pure luck.
Now give us some highlights of the special Heliborne operations which were undertaken for crossing Meghna.
Yeah, at about we got ready. We went to Badya Bazaar, Brahma Baria. Went to Brahma Baria, and we shut down there, waiting for the armies to arrive. And they came about 3:45. I had divided the helicopters into two groups of four. We had 8 helicopters, so the four we need 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4 were going to land on the left helipad. We had picked 2 helipads, and 5, 6, 7, 8 were going to land on the second helipad on the right hand side. And I was going to circle to the left, and he was going to the second group was going to circle to the right. So we keep away from each other. So we started picking up from 4 o'clock, and we kept flying whole night. Whole night we kept flying, and it was only 25 kilometers away, so we could do far more trips before we had to go back to Agartala to refuel. And then in the middle of the night, we went back, refueled, and came back, and then kept flying the whole night. And by next day evening, we had done more than 150 odd trips to Raipura and dropped everybody we wanted to drop. It was incredible, and we just kept going. Nobody was bothered about food. Nobody was bothered about sleeping. We were just working 24/7. We just kept going till we finished all the work. So we 8th and 9th, 10th, we finished everything to Raipura. Again, group captain, the General Sagat Singh was so impressed with the way we had done the work. He said, let's go to Narasingdi, which was the next destination. And the army we had dropped at Raipura, they were instructed to go to Narasingdi to make it safe for us. And Narasingdi was maybe about 30, 40 kilometers from where we had dropped them. So they rushed across to Narasingdi and took over Narasingdi and made it secure for us. And they told us it's all ready for us. So from now onwards, we were not bothered because there was no Pakistan Air Force. The Indian Air Force had smashed all the runways, so no Pakistan Air Force was getting airborne. So we were very safe to fly anywhere we wanted to fly. So the following day, again, we went to Brahmabaria, and the army came there, and then I think we did more than 100 trips that day. And 2 more helicopters from 111 helicopter unit also joined us. So in the end, I think we had about 12 helicopters on that day. So we were flying in groups of 4 at a time and dropping everybody with guns. Also, the artillery guns were disassembled, and they put it in the Me4 as well. And of course, nobody was making any manifest. Nobody was weighing anything. We were just loading it up and coaxing the helicopter to get airborne. There was no time to write anybody's name. There was no time to weigh anything. We were just coaxing, and I'm sure the helicopter was overloaded 50% or more. But all my pilots were very, very conscious of what is going on, and very, very making sure that nothing goes wrong. They were very careful, and we just kept going, and we were very, very fortunate. The entire war, we didn't have a single accident, not one accident, not one incident, nothing at all. And we just kept going. Then the following day, 11th, 12th, 13th, I think Narasingdi, we kept going. We dropped everybody there. Then Dada Kundi was the other place. From there, we went to Badya Bazaar, which is just outside Dhaka. So that is the 4th operation. So we did 4 total 4 special Heliborne operations. First was Silhet, and then Raipura, then Narasingdi, and Badya Bazaar. It was incredible. We moved more than 6,000 troops and more than 202 tons of equipment, foods, ammunition, whatever equipment the army needed. We just kept moving it. In between, there was any casualty evacuations. Casualty evacuation also always got preference. So whenever there was a casualty evacuation, we went rushing off to pick up casualties from whichever station there were casualties and brought them back to Talemura. And from there, the fixed train took them to Guwahati and far away, wherever the hospitals could cope with them.
Right. Tell me a little bit now about, the local people there, the Mukti Bahini there. What were your working conditions like? Of course, they were not ideal, but then how bad or how good were they?
See, the Mukti Bahini was embedded with the Indian Army. So we physically couldn't make out who's Mukti Bahini and who's not, but we knew they were with our soldiers. So we were just taking them. Army was the one who was organizing all the Mukti Bahini people as well. We physically, Air Force had nothing to do with them as such, except we were just lifting them and taking them wherever they wanted to go. So whatever army brought, we just took them. And the locals would come. Wherever we landed, the local Bengalis would come, even women and children, and everybody would come and give us a hand. And even they would offer us food and drinks and everything. It was incredible. The local people were just, of course, so happy that, because Pakistan army had been treating them like rubbish, complete rubbish. They were killing them, raping them, doing all kinds of wrong things which nobody should be doing. And of course, the Indian army was treating them like human beings. And giving them all the respect which is due to them. And also, wherever Pakistan army had been running away from, there was so much arms and ammunition lying around. So we were picking up things for our souvenirs, And so many of my youngsters had put grenades tucked into their belts and everything. It suddenly dawned on me, one of the grenade goes off, the whole helicopter will blow off. So I told the guys, I said, listen, no grenades, please give it to the Indian army. We don't want anything to do with grenades. You want to pick up guns or rifles or pistols or something, no problem. You can pick them up as souvenirs, because they were just lying there. Pakistan army had run away and things were just lying there. It was incredible. The whole operation was just wonderful. As I said, and of course, if you're on the winning side, it makes a huge difference. And in my view, because we were able to move so many soldiers next to Dhaka in such a short period, but from 7th of December to the 14th evening, 15th morning, December, about 8 days, 6,000 plus soldiers. And that didn't give time for Pakistani to get international help, And we got there before Pakistan even woke up, or the international world even woke up to what was going on. Of course, the Indian Air Force fighters and everybody were thrashing the hell out of them. But in the end of the day, unless you have a foot on the ground, soldiers who take over the land, nobody will hand over to you another country. It was because the Indian Army and Sagat Singh arrived there that Niazi decided he was going to surrender,
I don't think anybody will dispute your view that it was because of the speed of operations that we displayed that they really collapsed so early. Otherwise, in 16 days to go over riverine terrain like that is very difficult. One last question, sir. Tell us a little bit about the surrender ceremony in Dhaka after they decided to surrender to us. And also, I believe you had a good time there. There was some entertainment organized for you people by artists from Bombay. Film industry came into the game. How was it?
See, on the 15th of December, we were all listening on to our radios to see what's going on. We had heard the surrenders is going to take place. And then we heard General Jacob had gone there to Dhaka already, and he had spoken to Niazi, and Niazi had signed the documents. And not signed the document, he had agreed to the surrender. So that time of the surrender ceremony was going to be in the afternoon of the 16th of December. And in the morning, we all got ready. They told me to get 5 MIFOs ready for the surrender ceremony. And one thing they specifically told me, only the pilots flying will go there. That means I would have had 20 spare people who wouldn't be going there. I said, yes, sir, of course, to the group captain who gave me the orders, but I didn't agree with him because I said, we put our life on the line, and this is once in a lifetime surrender ceremony. I didn't want anybody to miss it. So I had 20 people, pilots and flight engineers. I smuggled them in first before I put the reporters in. I said, maximum group captain will bullshit me later on. I'll accept that. I'll say, sorry, sir, my mistake, sir. But I didn't want my youngsters to miss anything. So I took everybody with me. I took the entire pilots and the flight engineers with me. And we had about 5 or 6 Alvets or 7 Alvets. They took all the VIPs, the generals and the admirals and the air marshals and all. And we took all the reporters. There were reporters from all over the world, the men, women, everybody. There was no restriction. Again, we didn't even make a manifest. We just said, get into that helicopter, that helicopter, that helicopter. And we didn't even have the clamshell door. We had no seat belts. We had no seats even. People are sitting on the ground. People are holding on to each other or to whoever. It didn't matter, But they were there all day. Everybody wanted to go, And so we took as many people as we possibly could. My helicopters are fully loaded up completely. And we took everybody, whoever we could take. And I don't even remember how we came back as well. Middle of the night, we came back to the airport. Of course, when we reached Dhaka, there were all kinds of transports there, buses, cars, taxis, and not taxis. I mean, whatever vehicle was there, they were all willing to help us to take us to the Medan where the ceremony was going to take place. And it was like being in the Second World War movies, where Americans arrived in Paris, and all the locals were so happy to see us, and they were hugging us, shaking hands with us. It was incredible. The whole thing was incredible.
Right. I think we'll call off on that note until there's something more that you really want to share with our viewers.
No, it's just that I want to thank all our engineers who kept all the helicopters flying. It was incredible because they had very little resources, absolutely very few resources, but they were incredible. And all our helicopters kept flying all the time. Even when they were grounded, they were patched up very, very quickly, so that they are available as soon as we needed them. And all the pilots and all the engineers were eating whenever there was food available, sleeping whenever there was time available, or just sleeping in the helicopter, or sleeping in a room close by in the control room, wherever we could find. Nobody was asking question, ma'am, I'm hungry. Nobody was saying I'm tired. Nobody was tired. We just kept going. It was absolutely incredible. What an experience of those two weeks was. Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks a lot for sparing your time for us. I'm sure our viewers will enjoy this story hugely. Thank you.
No, thank you for inviting me. It was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful chatting with you.
And thank you, viewers. Thanks for joining bharatshakti.in. Do join in, log in whenever you find time, and you'll find such interesting stories on our website. Thank you.